Good evening, students. Today's transcription number back of 105 on the speed of 100 words per minute. Start. The All India Newspaper Editors Conference, the Indian Federation of Working Journalists, the Indian Eastern Newspapers Society, the Indian Language Newspapers Association, and also a large number of individual newspaper editors and proprietors were consulted. This discussion took place many times, and the pros and cons of this question were thoroughly discussed. We found that the majority of the members were very much in favor of some such legislation and restriction. There is no doubt that some of the papers were against it, but that was to be expected. Afterwards came the debate in Parliament on the Press Commission's report, and government found that in the discussion in both the houses there was a very strong opinion, I would say a strong majority opinion, that some such legislation on the lines of the recommendations of the Press Commission should be undertaken by the government. Here, I would like to mention one or two things regarding the question of the price page schedule and the pros and cons of the advantages or disadvantages of a schedule. The points in favor of the schedule might be considered briefly. It will tend to equalize competition and also prevent the emergence of monopolies. Secondly, it will also relax the control of big advertising interests on newspapers and, in that sense, generally make them more independent. Thirdly, the creation of monopolies and the cornering of large number of page papers by one or two or three groups impinges on the fundamental right of freedom of expression, and by trying to restrict such practices we will in reality be giving greater scope for freedom of expression that we can now. These were the main things which we had in view in the discussions with the newspaper interests. However, in discussing the details of the price page schedule, a number of points cropped up, and we had also before us all the arguments that could be put forward against the schedule. We certainly carefully considered all of them. One of the points which was brought forward was that this was something quite new and was therefore likely to create a very unfavorable press and unfavorable reactions regarding our country in the international world. It might be even spread abroad that India is restricting the freedom of the press. Now, regarding this point, I do not think it will be correct to say that no such restriction exists. Even today, and formerly on a greater scale in Great Britain, the price page schedule existed and exists. No doubt, the object of it might be quite different. The object is to give a more equitable distribution of newsprint, but the control by a statutory corporation of the distribution of newsprint only to papers if they follow certain price page regulations is there and has been functioning for the last 15 years or more. In this country during the war and immediately after, we had the schedule for a number of years.